There comes a moment after 60 when you stop waking up because of noise and start waking up because of people. Not because they've changed, but because your awareness has. You begin to feel, with unmistakable clarity, who leaves you lighter and who quietly places the weight of their world on your shoulders. It's a sensation that settles in your chest before dawn, that lingers during afternoon tea, that whispers to you in the quiet spaces between obligations. No one prepares you for this part of aging. You don't just grow older, you grow out of certain people, not with anger, not with drama, but with a quiet recognition that some relationships cost more than they give. And the peace you're seeking now, the deep peace that feels less like absence and more like coming home, begins the moment you stop feeling guilty for protecting it. The Buddha once taught that suffering arises not from the world itself, but from our clinging to how we wish the world to be. And nowhere is this more true than in relationships. After 6 or 7 decades of living, you've earned the right to ask, who truly nourishes my remaining years, and who, despite all history and habit, quietly steals my peace? Today, let's talk about 7 types of people you must gently release if you want the years ahead to be peaceful, nourishing, and truly yours. This isn't about cruelty, it's about clarity. It's about choosing your own heart after a lifetime of choosing everyone else's. A new stage of life. Something profound shifts after 60. Perhaps you've noticed it yourself. Peace becomes more valuable than approval. Time becomes more precious than obligations. The social games that once seemed important, the need to be liked, to be included, to keep everyone happy, begin to feel exhausting, even absurd. You no longer have the capacity, or frankly the desire, to carry relationships that drain you. Your energy, once abundant enough to share freely, has become sacred. Like a candle flame that must be shielded from the wind, you find yourself naturally protecting what little fire remains. This is not selfishness. The Buddha taught us to be a lamp unto ourselves. After 60, you're not abandoning others by choosing yourself first. You're finally understanding what it means to live with wisdom. You're recognizing that every hour spent with someone who diminishes your spirit is an hour stolen from your freedom. Research on aging confirms what the Dharma has taught for centuries. As we grow older, we naturally narrow our social circles. According to socio-emotional selectivity theory, older adults prioritize emotionally rewarding relationships because time becomes more precious. When you know your days are limited, you stop wasting them on people who don't truly see you. Studies have found that difficult relationships are particularly harmful in later life. Even a single draining relationship can overshadow many positive ones, creating heightened stress, anxiety, and depression. The presence of relationship difficulty has been significantly linked to poorer mental health in adults over 60, affecting not just emotional well-being, but physical health as well. But here's what matters most. Letting go is not rejection. It is self-respect. It is the Buddhist practice of protecting your peace without apology. As the Buddha said, holding on to anger or resentment is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. So today, with gentleness and without guilt, let's look at the 7 types of people your heart must learn to release. Not with hatred, but with clarity. Not by slamming doors, but by quietly closing them. Because after 60, you deserve relationships that honor the years you've lived and the wisdom you've earned. The time disrespecter. Think about the last time someone cancelled on you with a text message 5 minutes before you were supposed to meet. Or the friend who always shows up 40 minutes late, offering a casual shrug instead of an apology. Or the family member who assumes you're always available, never asking if your time matters too. These are the time disrespecters. And after 60, their casual disregard for your schedule becomes something more than an annoyance. It becomes an insult to the very thing you have least of: time. I once knew a woman named Dorothy, 73, who had a weekly coffee date with an old colleague. For 2 years, this colleague cancelled more often than she showed up, always with elaborate reasons, always promising to definitely make it next week. Dorothy would arrive early, order tea, wait. Sometimes the cancellation came. Sometimes it didn't, but always she felt foolish for hoping this time would be different. One morning, after another last-minute text, Dorothy simply stopped responding, not with anger, just with silence. When a friend asked why, she said something that stayed with me. "I finally realized my time is as real as hers. Maybe more so, because I have less of it left." The Buddha taught about right effort, using our energy wisely, directing it toward what truly nourishes us. Respecting your own time is not vanity, it is wisdom. It is acknowledging that each hour you spend waiting for someone who doesn't value your presence is an hour you'll never recover. After 60, you no longer need to tolerate people who are chronically late without apology, last-minute cancellations from those who make you a low priority, anyone who assumes your time is less valuable than theirs, those who interrupt your rhythm with their chaos. This doesn't mean you can't be flexible. Life happens, people get sick, emergencies arise. But there's a difference between occasional disruption and chronic disrespect. You know the difference. Your body knows it too. You feel it in the way your shoulders tighten when you see their name on your phone. Here's a simple practice. Protect your rhythm with intention. When someone asks for your time, pause before saying yes. Ask yourself, does this person honor my schedule? Have they shown, through their actions, that my time matters to them? And when you must step back from someone who has repeatedly disrespected your time, do so without elaborate explanation. A simple "I'm no longer available for that" is enough. The Buddha never said we must justify our boundaries. He said we must cultivate them with compassion for others, yes, but also for ourselves. The boundary breaker. There's a particular kind of exhaustion that comes from people who won't hear the word no. These are the ones who ask for favors repeatedly, who guilt-trip you when you decline, who make you feel selfish for choosing yourself. They've learned, over years of knowing you, exactly which buttons to push. They know you're kind, they know you want to help, and they've come to expect it. The boundary breakers operate on a simple assumption: your needs matter less than theirs. They might not say it directly, but their actions speak clearly. When you try to set a limit, they respond with hurt feelings, accusations of coldness, or stories about how much they're struggling. And because you care, because you've spent a lifetime being the reliable one, you fold. But here's what the Buddha understood about compassion. True compassion includes compassion for yourself. The Pali word metta means loving kindness, and it must begin with offering that kindness to your own heart. There's a traditional Buddhist story about a monk who was asked to carry a woman across a flooded river. His companion was shocked. Monks aren't supposed to touch women, but the first monk simply carried her across, set her down, and continued walking. Hours later, his companion was still upset. "How could you break that rule?" he demanded. The first monk replied gently, "I set her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" The lesson? Helping someone doesn't mean carrying them forever. After 60, you're allowed to set people down. You're allowed to say, "I helped you before, but I can no longer carry this burden. Not because you don't care, but because caring for others cannot mean destroying yourself. The boundary breakers often appear as adult children who expect unlimited financial support despite repeated mistakes, friends who demand emotional labor but never reciprocate, relatives who insist you attend every family gathering regardless of your health or energy, anyone who responds to no with "but you've always." After decades of saying yes when you meant no, your body keeps the score. The research is clear. People over 60 who feel pressured to maintain difficult relationships experience higher rates of depression and anxiety. Every time you sacrifice your peace to avoid someone else's disappointment, you teach them that your well-being doesn't matter. So here's your practice. The next time someone asks something of you that costs more than you can give, pause. Place your hand on your heart and ask, what does my own kindness toward myself require right now? Then, simply and without apology, speak your truth. I can't do that. Not I'm too busy. Or maybe next time because those leave the door open. Just I can't. If they push back, if they make you feel guilty, remember this. Choosing yourself first is not selfishness. After 60, it's survival. And it's exactly what the Buddha meant when he taught us to be refuges unto ourselves. The energy drainer. You know them immediately. They're the ones whose phone calls you see and think, not today. The ones who leave you feeling exhausted after every conversation, as though they've somehow siphoned something essential from your core. The energy drainers don't necessarily mean harm. Often they're in genuine pain. But pain, when unexamined and unhealed, can become a kind of hunger that feeds on others' vitality. And after 60, your energy is no longer something you have in abundance to spare. I remember meeting an 81-year-old man named Robert at a meditation retreat. He told me about a neighbor who would stop by just for a minute that somehow stretched into 3 hours of complaints, problems, and circular thinking. Robert would emerge from these visits feeling hollowed out, as if he'd run a marathon. I started pretending not to be home, he said quietly. I felt guilty at first, but then I realized my energy is all I have left. I get to choose how I spend it. The Buddha spoke often about the importance of spiritual friendship, what he called Kalyana Mitra. These are companions who uplift you, who support your path toward wisdom and peace. But the opposite also exists. People whose presence pulls you down, whose negativity becomes a weight you carry long after they've gone. After 60, your energy is sacred like a candle flame that must be shielded from the wind. You may not be able to work all day anymore, or stay up late, or bounce back quickly from stress. What energy you have must be guarded carefully, spent only on what and who truly nourishes you. The energy drainers often appear as people who monopolize every conversation with their problems, those who never ask how you're doing, friends who leave you feeling depleted, not renewed, anyone whose presence makes you want to immediately take a nap. You might think, but isn't compassion about being there for others in their suffering? Yes, but the Buddha never taught that compassion requires your own destruction. He taught about upeksha, equanimity, the ability to care deeply without drowning in others' pain. There's a story in Zen tradition about a master who was asked, "How do you remain peaceful when confronted with suffering?" He replied, "I stand in the river of sorrow, but I do not let the river carry me away." This is the practice for energy drainers. You can witness their suffering without absorbing it. You can care without carrying. And when someone consistently takes more energy than you have to give, It's not cruelty to limit your time with them, it's wisdom. Here's a simple boundary. Decide in advance how long you're willing to engage. When a known energy drainer calls, you might say, "I have 15 minutes right now." And when that time is up, you end the conversation kindly but firmly. Your energy belongs to you. Protecting it is an act of self-love. The drama magnet. Life after 60 should be quieter. Not silent, there's still joy, still connection, still the full range of human experience. But there's also, ideally, less chaos, less emotional storm and stress, more peace in the ordinary rhythms of days. Unless you have drama magnets in your life, these are the people for whom crisis is constant. Every week brings a new catastrophe, a new conflict, a new situation that demands immediate attention and emotional rescue. Phone calls come at all hours. Text messages arrive in rapid succession, each one more urgent than the last. And somehow, you find yourself pulled into situations that have nothing to do with you, yet leave you feeling responsible for fixing them. Drama is no longer entertainment, if it ever was. Research shows that chronic stress, the kind that comes from constant emotional turbulence, significantly harms health in older adults. It raises blood pressure, disrupts sleep, weakens the immune system, and increases the risk of heart disease. After 60, your body simply can't handle what it once could. Every dramatic phone call takes a physical toll. The Buddha taught about the second arrow. When something painful happens, that's the first arrow, unavoidable, part of life's natural suffering. But then we often shoot ourselves with a second arrow, our reaction to the pain, our stories about it, our inability to let it pass. Drama magnets live in a constant state of second arrows, and they invite you to join them there. I knew a woman named Evelyn, 77, whose daughter called her multiple times daily with some new crisis, fights with co-workers, arguments with her husband, financial emergencies that were somehow always Evelyn's fault for not helping enough. After one particularly exhausting week, Evelyn's doctor asked why her blood pressure had spiked. "It's my daughter," Evelyn said. "Her life is always falling apart." The doctor said something simple but profound. "You are not obligated to enter someone else's storm. You can love them from the shore." That image, loving from the shore, captures the Buddhist teaching perfectly. You don't have to be cold or indifferent, but you also don't have to wade into chaos that doesn't belong to you. You can say, "I see that you're struggling. I hope you find peace, and I cannot fix this for you." The drama magnets often appear as people with constant crises who resist actual solutions, those who thrive on conflict and pull others into their battles, family members whose emotional intensity dominates every gathering, anyone who makes every conversation feel like an emergency. Here's your practice. Create emotional distance without creating relational distance. You can still care, you can still check in, but when the drama begins, you can choose not to engage. A simple phrase that honors both your compassion and your boundary. That sounds really difficult. I hope you find a way through it. Notice, you're not offering to solve it. You're not taking responsibility. You're acknowledging their pain while standing firmly on your own ground. Because after 60, peace is not something to apologize for, it's something to protect, and you are not obligated to sacrifice your calm for someone else's chaos. The Money Leech. Money and peace are more connected than we often admit. Financial worry keeps you awake at night. Financial pressure creates stress that settles into your body, affecting your health, your mood, your sense of safety in the world. And after 60, when your income may be fixed and your savings must last the rest of your life, every dollar given away is a piece of your security. The money leeches know this. They may not say it directly, but their actions speak clearly. Your financial well-being matters less than their immediate wants. They appear only when they need something, a loan, a favor, help with bills they somehow never quite manage. They make promises to repay that evaporate as soon as the crisis passes. And when you hesitate, when you dare to say no, they respond with stories of desperation, with guilt about how much you have compared to them, with reminders of past help they once gave you. But here's the truth, the Buddha understood. Helping once is compassion. Becoming someone's endless safety net is attachment. Attachment to being needed, to being the generous one, to avoiding the discomfort of watching someone struggle. And that attachment creates suffering for everyone involved. There's a Zen teaching. If you meet someone drowning in a river and you jump in to save them, but they panic and pull you under, both of you will drown. Sometimes the most compassionate act is to throw a rope from the shore. And sometimes, if they won't grab the rope but keep demanding you jump in, the most compassionate act is to walk away. I spoke once with a man named Leonard, 68, whose son had borrowed money repeatedly over 20 years. Each time was the last time. Each time was an emergency that couldn't wait. Leonard had depleted a third of his retirement savings. When his financial advisor asked why he kept giving, Leonard said, "He's my son. What kind of father would I be if I didn't help?" But helping had become enabling. The son never learned to manage his own crises because Dad was always there to fix them. And Leonard's own security, the peace he'd earned through decades of work, was being sacrificed for someone who took that sacrifice for granted. The Buddha taught about right livelihood and the importance of economic stability. He understood that our relationship with money affects our inner peace. After 60, protecting your financial well-being is not greed, it's wisdom. It's acknowledging that you cannot give from an empty well. The money leeches often appear as adult children who repeatedly need emergency funds, friends who borrow but never repay, relatives who guilt you about having more than enough. Anyone whose relationship seems contingent on your financial help. Your financial peace is part of your emotional peace. When money flows out without return, it creates a kind of depletion that goes beyond dollars. It creates resentment, fear, a sense of being used. And these feelings poison the relationship far more than simply saying no. Here's your practice. Decide in advance what you're willing to give, and to whom, and under what circumstances. Then hold that boundary with the firmness of a stone. If someone asks for money, you might say, "I'm no longer in a position to help financially." Notice, not "I can't afford it," which invites negotiation, or "maybe later," which leaves hope. Just a clear, calm statement of reality. If they push, if they make you feel guilty, remember, your security in your later years is not selfishness. It's self-preservation. And the Buddha never taught us to set ourselves on fire to keep others warm. The chronic complainer. There are people who struggle with genuine hardship, and then there are people who have made complaining their primary mode of existence. You can feel the difference immediately. With the first, you feel compassion. They're navigating real pain, seeking understanding. With the second, you feel drained. They're rehearsing grievances, refusing comfort, and treating you as an audience for their endless dissatisfaction. The chronic complainers don't actually want solutions. They want witnesses. They want validation that yes, the world is terrible, life is unfair, nothing ever goes right. And when you offer perspective, when you suggest small changes or gentle reframes, they resist, because their identity has become wrapped up in their suffering. The Buddha spoke of this pattern in his teachings on dukkha, the suffering that comes from clinging. These people cling to their complaints, to their role as victim, to their stories of how they've been wronged. They've forgotten that suffering, while inevitable, doesn't have to be a permanent residence. They've moved in, furnished the place, and invited you to sit in their living room of grievance. After 60, you've heard enough complaints, you've carried enough negativity. What you need now is not another recitation of how bad things are, but space for quiet joy, for gratitude, for the small beauties that still remain. I remember a meditation teacher telling me about his neighbor, a woman who spent every conversation cataloging her ailments, her disappointments, the failures of her family. One day, after listening to the same complaints for the 100th time, he simply said, "That must be exhausting for you." She paused, surprised. "What do you mean?" she asked. He replied gently, "Carrying all that dissatisfaction everywhere you go. It must be so heavy." She didn't speak to him for a week. But something shifted. She'd never considered that her complaining was a choice, a burden she could set down. She'd thought it was just reality. The chronic complainers often appear as people who turn every conversation negative, those who reject every solution or positive perspective, friends whose default mode is criticism and dissatisfaction, anyone who makes you feel guilty for being content. The Buddhist practice of mudita, sympathetic joy, is particularly helpful here. Mudita is the capacity to rejoice in others' happiness, to meet good news with celebration rather than envy. The chronic complainer has lost this capacity. They meet your joy with deflection, your good news with their worse news, your contentment with reasons why you shouldn't feel so peaceful. You cannot fix this for them. You cannot argue them into gratitude or logic them into peace. What you can do is protect your own heart from their negativity. Here's your practice. When a chronic complainer begins their familiar litany, you can respond with compassionate distance. "I'm sorry you're struggling. I hope that shifts for you." Then gently redirect or end the conversation. You're not obligated to carry their negativity with you for the rest of the day. And if someone cannot engage with you except through complaint, it may be time to accept that this relationship has become a source of depletion rather than nourishment. You're not abandoning them. You're simply acknowledging that your heart doesn't have space for their heaviness anymore. After 60, that's not cruelty. That's clarity. The judge. After 60 or 70 years of living, you've earned the right to make your own choices. Where you live, how you spend your time. What brings you joy? Whether you travel or stay home, remarry or remain single, pursue new hobbies or finally rest. But there are people who don't see it that way. These are the judges, the ones who constantly critique your decisions, question your choices, and make you feel defensive about your own life. Nothing you do is quite right. Your retirement plans are foolish. Your interests are odd. Your priorities are wrong, and they feel entitled, even obligated, to tell you so. The judges operate from their own fear and rigidity. They've built their sense of security around fixed ideas of how life should be lived, and your deviation from that script threatens them, so they criticize. They offer helpful advice that feels more like judgment. They compare your choices unfavorably to how they would do things, and they make you doubt yourself right when you most need confidence. The Buddha taught that others' opinions are not the path you must walk. In one of his final teachings, he told his disciples, Be a lamp unto yourself. Be your own refuge. This wasn't encouragement to be selfish. It was permission to trust your own inner wisdom over external voices. No matter how loud or insistent those voices become. There's a beautiful Zen story about a master whose students criticized him for not following traditional practices. He would sit differently, eat differently, sleep at unusual hours. When confronted, he simply said, "When I am hungry, I eat. When I am tired, I sleep. That is all." The students protested, "But everyone does that." The master smiled. "No, when you eat, you are thinking about other things. When you sleep, you are dreaming of what isn't. I eat when I eat. I sleep when I sleep. That is the difference." The point? Living authentically, trusting your own rhythm, is radical. And it will always attract judgment from those who have lost touch with their own inner guidance. After 60, the judges often appear as adult children who criticize how you spend your retirement, siblings who question your lifestyle choices, friends who make you feel defensive about your decisions, anyone who tells you what you should be doing with your remaining years. The research on aging shows something profound. Older adults who live according to their own values, rather than others' expectations, report significantly higher well-being and life satisfaction. Every time you betray your authentic choices to please a judge, you sacrifice a piece of your peace. Here's your practice. The next time someone criticizes your choices, take a breath. Remember that their opinions come from their own fears and limitations, not from any real wisdom about your life. Then respond with calm firmness. This is what works for me. Not defensive, not angry, just clear. You don't owe elaborate explanations. You don't need to justify your choices to anyone. After 60, you are meant to live for yourself fully, unapologetically, in whatever way brings your heart alive. The Buddha himself lived this way, walking his own path despite constant criticism from religious authorities of his time. So release the judges. Not with argument or confrontation, but with gentle distance. Spend less time with those who make you feel small. Spend more time with those who celebrate your freedom. And remember, you are the only one who must live your life. Their opinions end when the conversation does. Your choices ripple through every remaining day. What the Buddha teaches about letting go. We've walked through 7 types of people: the time disrespecter, the boundary breaker, the energy drainer, the drama magnet, the money leech, the chronic complainer, and the judge. 7 patterns that, after 60, no longer serve your peace. But now we must ask the deeper question: how do we actually let go? Because knowing you should release someone and actually doing it are 2 different things. We carry guilt. We hear voices from childhood, from culture, from our own tender hearts that say we're being selfish, cold, abandoning. We worry, what if they need me? What if I'm making a mistake? What if I'm the problem? This is where Buddhist wisdom becomes not just philosophy, but practice. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from clinging to people, to roles, to how we think things should be. But he also taught that letting go is not rejection, it's liberation. It's seeing clearly that some attachments cause more harm than good, and having the courage to release them with compassion. There's a traditional story about 2 monks who come to a river where a woman asks for help crossing. The older monk picks her up, carries her across, and sets her down. Hours later, the younger monk is still upset. "We're not supposed to touch women," he says. The older monk replies, "I set her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This is the essence of letting go in relationships. You can acknowledge someone once mattered. You can honor what was good between you. But when that relationship no longer serves mutual growth, when it has become a burden rather than a blessing, you can set it down. Not with hatred, not with drama, just with clear seeing. The Buddha described this as right view, one element of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right view means seeing things as they actually are, not as we wish them to be. Applied to relationships, it means acknowledging, this person consistently drains my energy. This relationship causes me more pain than joy. This connection, however old or familiar, no longer honors who I am becoming. And here's what the Buddha understood that many people miss. Letting go of someone doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop allowing their dysfunction to determine your peace. You can wish them well from a distance. You can hold them in your heart with what Buddhists call metta loving kindness, while also honoring that your well-being requires space from their presence. I'm reminded of a teaching from Thich Nhat Hanh, the Zen master, who said, "Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness." After 60, this truth becomes urgent. You don't have endless decades to wait for relationships to improve, for people to change, for situations to magically resolve. You have now, and now deserves your full protection. So how do we practice this letting go? Not all at once, not with grand announcements, but gradually, with the gentleness of fallen leaves releasing from branches. First, simply notice. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel energized or depleted? Uplifted or diminished? Your body knows before your mind admits it. Second, create space. You don't have to cut people off dramatically. You can simply become less available, take longer to respond to messages, decline invitations more often. Let the relationship naturally thin, rather than forcing a confrontation. Third, practice the Buddhist meditation on impermanence, what's called anicca. Everything changes. People change. Relationships change. What served you once may not serve you now, and that's not failure, it's the natural flow of life. By meditating on impermanence, you soften the grip of attachment. Fourth, cultivate metta toward yourself. Place your hand on your heart and whisper, "May I be peaceful, may I be safe, may I be free from suffering." Self-compassion is not selfishness. It's the foundation of all true compassion. When you treat yourself with kindness, letting go of what harms you becomes an act of love, not cruelty. And finally, remember the Buddha's teaching. You are your own refuge. No one else can walk your path. No one else can protect your peace but you. After 60, this is not loneliness, it's liberation. It's understanding that your primary relationship is with yourself, with your own heart, with the quiet wisdom that comes from decades of living. Living forward, invitation to peace. So here we are, having looked honestly at 7 types of people who no longer serve your peace. Perhaps as we've walked through these descriptions, a face has come to mind, or several faces. Perhaps you've felt that uncomfortable recognition in your chest, that knowing that, yes, this relationship costs more than it gives. What do you do with that knowing? First, breathe. This isn't an emergency. You don't have to make any dramatic decisions right now. Buddhist practice is about gradual awakening, not sudden ruptures. You're simply beginning to see more clearly. And seeing clearly is always the first step toward freedom. Second, be gentle with yourself. It's possible you've tolerated draining relationships for years, maybe decades. That doesn't make you weak or foolish. It makes you human. We stay in harmful patterns for all kinds of reasons. Love, loyalty, habit, fear, hope that things will improve. Have compassion for the part of you that held on, and have courage for the part that's ready to let go. Third, understand that releasing someone is not the same as condemning them. This isn't about deciding who's good or bad, right or wrong. It's simply about acknowledging this relationship, as it currently exists, no longer nourishes me. Maybe it once did. Maybe it nourished them. But now, it creates suffering. And the Buddha's entire teaching points toward one goal: the ending of unnecessary suffering. You can let someone go and still wish them well. You can create distance and still hold them in your heart with kindness. In fact, sometimes the most loving thing you can do for both of you is to stop forcing a connection that no longer flows naturally. Think of it this way. If you had a garden and certain plants were draining all the water and sunlight from the others, what would you do? You'd gently remove them, not with anger toward the plants, but with care for the garden as a whole. Your life is that garden. And after 60, you're the guardian of what grows there. Now, practical wisdom. When you begin to step back from draining relationships, some people will notice. They may ask what's wrong. They may express hurt or confusion. And here's where you practice what Buddhists call right speech, honest but kind, necessary but not harsh. You might say simply, "I'm in a season of life where I need more quiet, more rest. I'm pulling back from some commitments." You don't owe elaborate explanations. You don't need to detail their faults or list your grievances. Just a gentle clarity about what you need. And if they push, if they demand more justification, remember, you're not obligated to make them understand. Some people will never see how their behavior affects others. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to protect your peace. There's a Zen saying, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." The meaning? Life continues. The ordinary routines remain. But everything is different, because you are different, because you see with new eyes, because you act from deeper wisdom. After you begin releasing draining relationships, your external life might look mostly the same. You still wake up. You still have responsibilities. But internally, something has shifted. You've reclaimed energy you didn't realize you were giving away. You've created space where there was only obligation. You've chosen yourself without apology. And that choice ripples through everything. Some of you may worry, but what if I end up alone? What if I let go of these difficult relationships and find myself with no one? Here's what research and lived experience both show. When you clear space by releasing relationships that drain you, you naturally make room for relationships that nourish you. Peace attracts peace. Healthy people gravitate toward other healthy people. And after 60, quality matters infinitely more than quantity. 3 genuine friends who truly see you are worth more than 30 acquaintances who take you for granted. Moreover, there's a profound difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the ache of wanting connection and not having it. Solitude is the richness of being with yourself, of discovering that you are, in fact, excellent company. After a lifetime of focusing on others, solitude can feel like coming home. The Buddha spent long periods alone in forests, in meditation, in deep reflection, not because he was antisocial, but because he understood that inner peace cannot be found in constant external engagement. Sometimes the most profound relationship we can cultivate is with our own quiet presence. So if letting go leaves you with more empty hours, what a gift. Those hours are yours to fill with whatever brings you peace. A slow morning with tea, a walk in nature, creative pursuits you'd abandoned, meditation, reading, simple sitting, and watching light move across the floor. These are not wastes of time, they are your life, finally reclaimed. Beginning again, right now. Which of the 7 types of people are you thinking of right now? Perhaps it's a family member whose demands never cease. Perhaps it's an old friend who's become a source of stress rather than comfort. Perhaps it's someone you love deeply, but whose presence depletes you nonetheless. Sit with that recognition. Don't push it away. The Buddha taught that wisdom begins with clear seeing. You're not being cruel by acknowledging the truth. You're being honest. And honesty, spoken gently to yourself, is an act of deep respect. Now, place your hand on your heart. Feel it beating steadily, keeping you alive through all these years. And whisper to yourself, as if speaking to someone you love, I choose peace. I choose myself. I release what no longer serves me. Not with anger, not with resentment, just with the calm clarity of someone who has finally understood. My remaining years are precious. My energy is limited. My peace is sacred, and I will protect it. This is not the end of love. It's the beginning of wise love. Love that knows its own boundaries, that honors both self and other without sacrificing either. It's the kind of love the Buddha spoke of when he taught about the 4 boundless qualities: loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Not clinging, not attachment, but a spacious care that allows everyone their freedom. After 60, you have earned the right to live this way. Not eventually, not someday when circumstances improve, but now, today. In this very moment, you can begin again. Maybe today all you do is decide, I will respond to that draining person less quickly. I will protect my morning quiet. I will say no, once without guilt. Small steps, gentle boundaries, quiet revolutions of the heart. Stay with this wisdom. Each day, let it grow a little deeper, and know that in choosing yourself, in protecting your peace, in releasing what drains you, you're not being selfish. You're being exactly what the Buddha asked us to be, a lamp unto yourself. Your peace begins now. Your freedom begins now. Your years ahead, however many remain, can be lived in the gentle light of self-respect and clarity. This is the Dharma for your remaining years. This is the gift you give yourself after a lifetime of giving to others. Choose peace. Let go gently. Live freely. And if you found truth in these words today, I invite you to reflect on which relationship you're ready to gently release. You don't have to tell anyone else. You don't have to explain or justify. Just quietly, in the privacy of your own heart, give yourself permission. You are allowed to choose peace. You always have been.